Welcome to another video, guys. I'm Kris O Five, and today I'll give you the top 5 Hearthstone decks for Legend in July. As always, I will include an overview of each deck, win rates, a Mulligan guide, and if it's worth it to craft it this close to a new expansion. I would really love it if you drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and a subscribe would be amazing. Hope to see you on my stream on Twitch sometimes as well. I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. Now, let's see the decks. Starting off with my favorite deck of the expansion, Murwock Shaman. This deck has been part of the meta in one form or another ever since Rise of Shadows hit, and right now it feels like it's in its peak. I actually reached Legend with it yesterday on stream, literally without even trying, so if you take the time to learn this deck, I'm sure you can do it too. Booyah. Legend, baby! Didn't even frickin' try, like for real. Didn't even try. Damn, son. Ha! Got him! Oh wow, under 1000, well that's new. First time we did it this low. Damn, son. It feels very consistent and you can either go slow or fast with it, depending on your matchup. Do let me know in the comments if you want me to make a detailed Murwock Shaman guide, like the one I did for Mid-Range Hunter. The Murloc synergy in the deck are quite scary, and if your opponent can't remove even a couple of cheap Murlocs, things go out of hand pretty quickly. The Underbelly Angler is the real MVP of the deck, which can single-handedly win you most of your games just by sticking for 1 or 2 turns early on. SZAwA the Murlocs is another great card that gives the deck that token stickiness feel. The 2 Hagatas and Shudderwock are also amazing for the mid and late game, and you can even go toe-to-toe with a Control Warrior in the late game with those. Here are the matchups for Murwock Shaman. Your biggest counters would be Zulok and Hooktusk Rogue, but those would be a very rare encounter for you nowadays. Token Druid can be a bit tricky, and Aggro Overload Shaman takes some skill as well, but other than that, anything else would be good for you, especially if you high roll on your Anglers and Tide Callers. For the Mulligan, you always want to find those two. If you already have an Angler, keeping any other 1-drop Murloc would be a good idea as well. Those two are just too good, and if you get your Murloc cycle going, it's probably GG already. Against the Warrior, you can keep a Swamp Queen Hagata too. Is it worth it to craft it right now? Well, if you already have most of the cards, sure. You can even try it without some of the expensive late game cards if you're missing those, even though they really help a ton. Other than that, it doesn't seem like Blizzard is going in the Murloc direction with the new expansion so far, but it's still too early to tell. After all, the expansion lore does fit some Murloc synergies, so I believe we will receive some support for the deck, but time will tell. Next we have Mech Hunter. This is another deck that emerged from day 1 of the new expansion, and it remained a solid tier 1 deck to the end. Love it or hate it, it's a very strong and effective deck to climb with. The mech synergies are too much to handle for most decks, and the constant pressure from the Goblin Bombs make it all that much harder for your opponent. Even with all of the decks that people are running against mechs right now, this deck still manages to hold its ground. Here's what the matchups look like. Basically, you will always be favored except when facing Shamans. They have a lot of ways to deal with your tall and or wide boards, so you will need some luck for those. Everything else is in the green, and even Shaman is almost at 50%, so you should have no problem climbing with Mech Hunter if you take your time with the deck. For the Mulligan, Galvanizer and Mecharoo are always a keep. Saving a Bomb Toss can also be beneficial against decks you expect early aggression from, and a Snip Snap can save you from faster decks as well. It really comes down to what you will expect from your opponent, so mulligan accordingly. Knowing the meta and your most popular opponents will go a long way with this deck. Is it worth the craft? I'd say sure. It's not expensive at all, since Snip Snap is free, Zilliax is a must craft for any player, and Flurk is not core anyway. So for about 3k dust you will be able to play a tier 1 deck that will probably remain strong in the next expansion too, so I'd say craft away. Moving down to Control Warrior. This is probably the most hated deck in the game right now, and it's basically because of one card and one card alone, the dreaded Dr. Boom. I'm not sure why Blizzard have failed to address the problem for this long, but I don't feel it's healthy for the game to have a single card that makes an entire class so oppressive. There was a point in time where the top 25 deck variations in Hearthstone were literally only variants of Control Warrior, but hey, small indie company, am I right? Let's see how many dislikes this snarky comment's gonna get. Anyway, we're not here to bash on Warrior, it's not even that hard to play against it, but it's just damn boring. Control Warrior is one of the most rewarding decks to play with if you play it optimally. It has the highest win rates since you basically are in control of the game. The Control Bomb variant is also quite strong, so it's up to you to decide which deck you would like to go for. Control is stronger against aggro opponents, and Bomb is stronger against mid-range opponents, so you need to figure out which decks you're facing the most and play accordingly. Here are the matchups. Mages are quite strong against you, and other warrior variants can be quite problematic too. The value from Mech Paladin and Death Rattle Hunter can also be a bit too much for the slow playstyle of this deck. Other than that, you should be in control against most of the other decks most of the time. For the Mulligan, you always want to keep your 1-drops. Keeping Dr. Boom is not a bad idea too, especially in slower matchups. Warpath is great against faster opponents, but you don't need me to tell you that. Basically, you need to figure out which tools you will need against your opponents, and again, knowing the meta is key for this deck. I'm not sure if it would be worth it for you to craft this deck right now. It's quite expensive, and the games are very slow. A lot of people have regrets crafting it after a few 40-minute mirror matches, so think long and hard if you want to go through with that. If you enjoyed thinking long and hard, then you will probably enjoy the deck as well. Other than that, if the new expansion gives support to value and combo decks, the Control Warrior will fall down hard into tiers, so my call would be to wait. Speaking of high value decks, the next two are exactly that, starting off with Cyclone Mage. This deck took the Legend ladder by storm, and it was probably the most played deck in Legend for a while. It can do crazy high rolls, and having over 30 attack on the board as soon as turn 5 is not something this deck can't do. It takes a lot of skill to play the deck optimally, since there is tons of RNG involved, and you need to know exactly what you can do with that RNG.
Think I gotta roll a mech from these to increase my odds. Oh my fucking Jesus, boys! The dream! Woohoo! Is this fucking enough? Hot damn! Double the double the double? Damn, son. And that is why people hate and love Hearthstone. Oh, he forgot about the fucking taunt. Damn. Woo.
The random cards you get from Cyclone are quite the wow factor, and the way you interact with those separates the good from the great Cyclone Mage players. The way you manage your freezes is also very important, since you don't have that many ways of healing. Overall, there are a lot of decisions you need to make right with this deck for it to work, and that is why it's popular in Legend and not so much in the lower ranks. The matchups look like this. You won't stand a chance against the faster decks most of the time, but in reality, only some Shamans and Hunters will be hard for you. Against the other decks, you should be good, given you know what to do against them. Now let's see the Mulligan. Starting second with this deck is really great, since you want a bigger hand and the coin counts as an extra spell for the Cyclone too. For the Mulligan, you always want to keep your Ray of Frost, Mana Cyclone and Sorcerer's Apprentice. Against opponents that can go wide, keep Sea Giant, and against lower opponents, keep Mountain Giant and Galaxy. Arcane Intellect is also a safe keep, and Conjurer's Calling can also be a keep sometimes, but you need to be able to spot those times correctly. Is it worth the craft? Probably not so much. It's very expensive, it takes a lot of skill, so if you didn't craft it by now, then you probably shouldn't before the new expansion. It's a very fun deck to play, but you will be better off saving your dust for now. And on the last spot we have Mech Paladin. This deck is quite the powerhouse, and it feels very fun to play as well. It's not too fun for your opponent when you high roll though. People are taking against a lot of mechs nowadays, so you might have some bad games, but overall this deck can climb a lot of ranks for you. You have the option to go wide or go tall with the deck, so you have a lot of decisions to make with it. Knowing what you're facing and what decks they might have against you is key for performing well with this deck. Shamans, mages and priests destroy you, but anything else would be a favorable matchup for you. For the Mulligan, you really need to find those Crystallogies. Some people mulligan everything away just to find those, but that feels a bit extreme. Keeping cheaper mechs and sometimes even an Anoyo module can save you from the early game aggression from some decks, but against warriors for instance, you go full on for the value game, keeping cards like Glowstone Technician and even Mechano Eggs. Should you craft this deck right now? Frankly, I'm not sure. It's not too cheap and you need Kangor's army for it to work, which is a very niche card. It's a really fun deck, but I'd say save your dust if you're missing the expensive cards. And that's it for this video, guys. Hope these help you climb some easy ranks before the new expansion hits. Drop a like and a sub if you found the video helpful. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris O Five and I'll see you in my next video.